What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Caffeinate today for January the 31st of 2019. My name is Samuel Adams, and welcome to today's show. I hope that this one does find you well, and if you are brand new to the program, this is a daily gaming news podcast where I bring you the hottest gaming news from around the industry and let you guys know what is going on in one tight, neat little package for you to enjoy while you sip some coffee in the evening, in the morning, whenever you might do it. We will be right here with the hottest gaming news of the day. So with that being said, the show is hosted live 5 days a week on twitch.tv/thesamueladams. Then it's brought over to youtube.com/SamuelAdamsMedia and podcast services around the world for you to enjoy. But with that out of the way, what are we going to be talking about tonight? We have, ladies and gents, and everything. We just have a ton of Nintendo news because we have earnings, which include tons of numbers and metrics that are going to be incredibly interesting to me, but may or may not be interesting to you. However, still incredibly important for us to discuss here tonight. On top of that, we have the headliner, which is a rumor of a brand new, smaller, cheaper Nintendo Switch for 2019. Something that has come up in the news in the past couple of weeks, but has since kind of died down a bit when it comes to the, I guess, talkative nature of the industry, but seems to be rising up yet again. On top of that, the smartphone Mario Kart Tour game has been delayed. Instead, you're going to be getting Dr. Mario World announced for smartphones, which is something I didn't really expect, but hey, that's pretty cool because Dr. Mario is not that shabby of a game. On top of that, Darksiders Warmastered Edition is officially launching on the Nintendo Switch after a bit of a leak yesterday, which I did not talk about on the show because I assumed some kind of announcement would be made shortly. On top of that, for fans of the Overwatch League, guess what? You can now choose how to watch the action for the low price of $15, which I think is a bit high, but that's beside the point. It's a pretty cool feature and one that is definitely going to be pushing esports to the biggest of its potentials. That was a weird way to say that. But Dauntless is joining the Epic Games Store, another game jumping ship from Steam and any other kind of third-party launcher, and going with Epic's big boy launcher that we see coming around the pipe. And finally, Fortnite is hosting a Marshmello concert this weekend. What a sentence that one is. Never would have expected that to come out of my mouth in 2019. But that's pretty much the entire show for the day. However, before we jump into that, I did want to discuss one specific thing that has come about on Twitter over the course of the past hour or so, so humor me if you will. According to Greg Miller over there on twitter.com/GameOverGreggy, or at GameOverGreggy if you want to use the search bar. Great news, he says. We've hit the Kinda Funny fundraising stretch goal for the up-and-comer opportunity. That means Kinda Funny's looking to fly an amazing up-and-coming content creator out here to work with us for a week, and they say, well, maybe more than one. In fact, according to the video, 2 people are going to be flown out to work on the Kinda Funny Games Daily show, because apparently that's something they want to go ahead and get involved with yet again, because they did it last year, and it was an incredibly fun and engaging opportunity. Now, you might be saying, how do I get involved with this? Well, guess what? You, yes, you, can go to kindafunny.com/upandcomer and nominate your favorite content creator, podcaster, streamer, editor, whatever it might be. If they are a creative individual, you can nominate them to have this opportunity to work with the incredible team at Kinda Funny. Now, of course, if you want to nominate me, that would absolutely blow my mind, and it's pretty cool. The reason that I heard about this is actually a bit of a backstory. I was playing through Resident Evil 2, and I didn't really check Twitter that much for the span of about 5 hours. So, whenever I jumped on Twitter, I saw that I had a DM from a dude who said, hey, I nominated you for this, best of luck, and I was like, what is this? And so that's a pretty cool way to find out that, hey, there's this thing going on. So again, if you want to nominate me, that's totally cool. Just nominate somebody, because there are so many incredibly passionate, incredibly dedicated content creators out there that would love to have this opportunity. I'm one of thousands of people that would love the opportunity to dive in and get their feet wet with Kinda Funny Games Daily or any of the other kind of shows they do over there. But with that being said, I did want to bring that to your attention. If you want to jump in, again, that's kindafunny.com/upandcomer, and you can nominate a quality individual to jump on with the team over there at Kinda Funny and get some experience, which I would love to have. But with that being said, let's move on to the news of the day. First off, our headliner, Nintendo is working on a smaller, cheaper Nintendo Switch for 2019, according to a report. it could be actually happening this time. Nintendo plans to release a downsized version of the Nintendo Switch later this year, which will cost less and have less features, according to a Nikkei report. This is the second time rumor of a new version of the Nintendo Switch is hitting this year. In October, the Wall Street Journal reported on rumors that the company was working on another version of the hybrid console. This time around, Nikkei reports that Nintendo has spoken with multiple suppliers and game developers about its plans to release a smaller version of the Nintendo Switch as early as this year, according to the report as translated by Gematsu. The news comes on the same day that Nintendo released its third quarter earnings report, for the year, which included news that the company is lowering its expectations for Switch sales by a small amount and nearly cutting in half how many portable 3DS it thinks it can sell in the fiscal year, which does end in March. While the Nintendo Switch serves as both a capable home console and a traveling system, it has been theorized that a smaller version without the ability to dock and connect to a television could tap into a larger market at a cheaper price. And so that's pretty much what we know so far. Now, I do want to highlight this last part that Brian says over here on Variety. While the Nintendo Switch serves as a capable home console, it could have the ability to tap into a larger market if it does have the, better price tag, a more accessible price tag attached to the hardware itself. Now, don't get me wrong, the Nintendo Switch as it stands is still a relatively affordable console considering the amount of features that you do have packed into this little tiny handheld hybrid gaming device. But still, to be able to knock between $50 and $100 off and maybe change a couple of the specs within the system itself and change the hardware just enough to knock that price down to around $200, it could be a big competitor, especially whenever you're considering that an Xbox One S can generally be found for around $199 if you are waiting for a sale or you buy pre-owned. So this could very well put it within the reach of the basic bare bones gaming consumer, and that is an incredibly valuable place to be within the gaming industry, especially with a console that is thriving with the indie community. It is doing very well across the board pretty much. Of course, they didn't quite hit the goals, as we'll talk about here in a minute, for how many Switches are going to be sold within the fiscal year, but still nothing to shake a stick at, as it was the most popular gaming console of 2018, as I believe reported on January the 23rd. You can go back and look at that day's episode, but again, really reaching back there. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the marketing/financial report. Nintendo has trimmed its Switch target as net sales near $10 billion for the fiscal year. The platform holder celebrates record-breaking success of Super Smash Bros. And Pokemon with the delay of Mario Kart Tour, which we will talk about here in a moment. Nintendo has revised its expectation of selling 20 million Switch units by the end of the financial year, but it's confident its revenues will not suffer. The platform holder has previously said it aims to sell 38 million units by the end of the year. Switch's lifetime sales stand at 32.27 million units, with 163.61 million software units sold. Back in November, analysts have warned that it may fall short by nearly 3 million units, although Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa recently said he remains confident the platform can achieve this even with a price cut, or without a price cut, Nevertheless, Nintendo's financial results for the 9 months ended December 31st, 2018 show that the forecast for Switch hardware sales is now 17 million units, 3 million less than the previous 20 million target. It's a conservative note and otherwise positive financials, with Nintendo reporting net sales have risen to $9.17 billion so far in the fiscal year, up 16.4% year-on-year over the $7.88 billion achieved in 2017. Operating profits, meanwhile, were up 40.6% to $2.02 billion, and ordinary profit was up 23.5% to $2.21 billion. Much of this success was driven by the Switch and by 3 particular titles that achieved record sales. Super Mario Party has sold more than 5.3 million units since launch. It was released in October, while the 2 Pokemon Let's Go titles have shifted a combined 10 million copies. Smash Bros. Is the biggest star, however, having sold 12.08 million copies since launch, an impressive achievement given that launch was less than 2 months ago. Nintendo notes sales of other first-party and third-party titles continue to grow steadily, and that is a direct quote, meaning there are now 20 Switch games that have sold more than 1 million units. Digital games are also on the rise, with sales for eShop content, including full games, download-only games, and DLC, improving 95.1% year-on-year to 774.3 million million in sales. That is an incredibly impressive number right there. Naturally, this software has helped drive new hardware sales with 14.49 million Switch units sold so far this financial year, a 19.5% increase over the same period last year. Meanwhile, software sales have more than doubled to 94.64 million units. Now, as can be expected this late in the game, the Nintendo 3DS is declining with hardware sales down 60.5% year-on-year to 2.31 million units, and software sales down 64.5% to 11.08 million. The NES and the SNES Minis have sold 5.83 million units between them since April. And of course, they go on to talk more about mobile titles, with income from Dragalia Lost coming in at $306.2 million, a 14.7% increase over the year before. I want to make sure that I make it very clear, including the firm's latest release, Dragalia Lost, not the entire game itself. That would be an incredibly impressive amount of money to come in from one specific game. However, Nintendo has delayed Mario Kart Tour, which is a pretty solid segue into the next story. But before we jump into that, let's go into the details here. Nintendo is still doing very, very well. Now, they pretty much set their goals a little bit too high, in my opinion, for how many Switch units they were going to push for that specific financial year. I believe that if you shoot for the stars and you miss, or wait, if you shoot for the moon and you miss, you'll land and you'll be amongst the stars. Something along those lines. It's one of those big fluffy little sayings they have. But still, you did very, very well, and considering you were trying to hit this giant goal, it's not too bad of a situation to say that you have now lowered your goal to 17 million units, which is not too shabby. With that being said, the fact that the 3DS is beginning to decline in popularity is no shocker. I believe that these sales were a little over half of what they had expected for the holiday season of 2018. But again, all of that pretty much goes down the drain when it comes down to it. Nintendo is still doing very well, and it seems software sales, especially on the eShop, are doing much better than I personally thought they would for the financial year of 2018. But again, that's just my 2 cents on that one. It's all looking pretty good for Nintendo overall. But for fans of Mario Kart, specifically those looking forward to Mario Kart Tour, the game has been delayed, which is always unfortunate. Nintendo's smartphone Mario Kart will not be arriving now until this summer, the company announced on Thursday. Mario Kart Tour was scheduled to be released this fiscal year, which ends in March, but the game is being pushed back in order to, quote, improve quality of the application and expand the content offerings after launch. The company also noted that it would begin to focus more on continued service operations for games that have already been released for smartphones, so customers will play them for a long time. The company's smartphone game income was 33.3 billion yen, up 14.7% for their third quarter, which ended December the 31st, compared to the same period the previous year. While Mario Kart Tour is a smartphone title, it could be tied to the marketing for a release of an unannounced Mario Kart game for the Nintendo Switch. That's just a hypothetical, but interesting hypothetical at that. With most of Nintendo's mainline franchises already on the company's system, a Mario Kart title could be a significant driver, for sales. That was a good one over there at Variety. Historically, one of the biggest franchises on previous Nintendo systems has been Mario Kart. Mario Kart DS sold more than 23 million copies. Mario Kart Wii sold more than 37 million copies. Mario Kart 7 on 3DS sold 17 million, and even the poorly received Wii U managed to sell more than 8 million copies of Mario Kart 8. While Switch has a kart game already, which sold more than 9 million copies, it's really just a port of the 2014 Wii U title, and that's a trend we're seeing more and more for the Nintendo Switch specifically. But interesting to see they have pushed back Mario Kart Tour, which I think is always a good option. First off, to kind of backpedal a bit, I feel like putting a release date or even a general time frame on anything that you do not have a definitive release date or time frame for is setting yourself up for disaster if mishandled. That's pretty much what it comes down to. With that being said, I think that Mario Kart Tour is going to be a pretty solid Mario Kart application for any kind of smartphone, and I think it's going to scratch the itch that many people have whenever you're sitting on a bus or, waiting for a class to start in college, whatever you might be doing, and you want to play a little bit of Mario Kart. We've all been there. It's a good game. It's a good franchise. But the big question here is, will it actually align with the announcement or the release of a new Mario Kart game for the Nintendo Switch? And that one's still kind of up in the air for me. If they were to put out a brand new Mario Kart game, I think that it would be a better fit for maybe even the next generation of Nintendo consoles because, quite frankly, again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Mario Kart, that was ported over from the Wii, is doing fairly well on the Nintendo Switch. Again, one of the biggest sellers for the console overall. And so, again, I mean, maybe a new one would pump sales up a little bit for both hardware and software, but it still leaves you guessing as to, you know, what they're doing here with the marketing team. But if you were looking forward to Mario Kart Tour, it's now coming out in the summer of 2019, and hey, still going to be a pretty fun game. Nintendo's doing some interesting stuff with the mobile platform. Now, speaking of that mobile platform, Dr. Mario World has been announced for smartphones. That's right, it's coming back. Nintendo has announced Dr. Mario World for iOS and Android devices in partnership with Lime. The puzzle game will launch as a free-to-download title with optional in-app purchases in the early summer in approximately 60 countries, regions including Japan and the United States, and the official press release is as follows. And it's pretty much a whole bunch of mumbo-jumbo and whatnot, but looking to the bottom here, utilizing both companies' strengths, Nintendo and Lime will co-develop and jointly operate a new action puzzle game featuring Dr. Mario titled Dr. Mario World to be released by Nintendo. Dr. Mario World is targeting an early summer 2019 global release, including in Japan and the United States, and that's pretty much all of the detail we have on the game so far. But if you are into the world of Dr. Mario, then by all means, this is going to be a pretty awesome game to see on the smartphones, and it really does fit in well here. Think Mario versions of Tetris. That's pretty much the way that I see Dr. Mario. It's a fun little game, one that'll definitely keep you satisfied while you're pooping, as many people spend their time playing smartphone games while on the John, as they said back in the day. But hey, if you did want to dive in and give it a shot, again, it's coming out sometime alongside Mario Kart Tour in the summer period of 2019. Also, to Heather in the chat, welcome on in. Glad to see you. Hope you're doing well. So I think that wraps up today's Nintendo news, because there was a lot of Nintendo news. But we have one more Nintendo story because I didn't read the headline. Darksiders Warmastered Edition launches physically on the Switch in April and will retail for $30. Properly confirmed this time. Of course, as we said, a leak came out yesterday and was properly fixed with flex tape. But remember yesterday when Darksiders Warmastered Edition was accidentally leaked by its own publisher? Well, today the game has been truly confirmed properly this time, and it's set to arrive on the Switch in April. Already available on PC and other consoles, the game is going to launch on the 2nd of April on the Nintendo Switch, both digitally on the Nintendo eShop and also physically at retail. The recommended price for both versions is going to be set at $30 USD, and here is a bit of information courtesy of today's press release. Gotta get my drop voice on. A series I do on the channel every single Sunday where I let you guys know what games are coming out on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, whatever they might be coming out on. We will talk about it right there. Selfless promotion. Deceived by the forces of evil into prematurely bringing about the end of the world, war, the first horseman of the apocalypse stands accused of breaking the sacred law by inciting a war between heaven and hell. In the slaughter that ensued, the demonic forces defeated the heavenly host and laid claim to the earth. And of course, there's a list of features. Apocalyptic power, extreme arsenal, epic quest, character progression, and a battle between heaven and hell is all going to be included in Darksiders Warmastered Edition. Now, this is a game that has already been put out on the PS4 and the Xbox One, as well as the PC. But overall, it's a cool game. It's a interesting kind of God of War hack-and-slash-esque kind of experience. But overall, it's going to be one that is right at home on the Nintendo Switch. It's pretty much my catchphrase at this point. Not my catphrase. It's a meow. But my catchphrase at this point, you know, if you put a game like this on the Nintendo Switch where there isn't a lot of depth to it, and it is just an action-packed hack-and-slash style of game, then you're going to be having a pretty solid experience at that. Now, with that being said, are we going to be seeing more people kind of port games over in this kind of way? Because we've seen a lot of ports recently, but more importantly, are we going to be seeing Darksiders 2 and even Darksiders 3 brought over to the Nintendo Switch? And I suppose that could hypothetically depend on the success of this game. You know, we'll see how this one goes. But if this one is successful, I wouldn't put it past the guys over there at THQ Nordic to put more effort into making those games available on the Nintendo Switch. It's a weird time right now for Nintendo overall because a lot of publishers and developers are kind of still testing the waters to see if the Nintendo Switch is viable for their specific game. Of course, we've seen it time and time again that the Nintendo Switch is a good place to put your game, but the big question is what games do well there and where is the money best allocated? That's pretty much what it comes down to. It's like a big RPG. But With that being said, if you did want to pick up Darksiders Warmastered Edition for the Nintendo Switch, it's dropping in April for $30, a fairly priced title, if I do say so myself. Now, we talked about the Overwatch League on yesterday's episode of Caffeinate. You can go back and watch that if you do want to, but today we got some more news about how you are going to be able to watch the Overwatch League competitions, tournaments, if you will, matches, some may call them. And that is actually how you want to watch the action based off of what you want, if you're willing to pay $15. With the Twitch All Access Pass, you can toggle between pros' perspectives, and this is absolutely incredible to me. The second season of Blizzard's Overwatch League kicks off in a couple of weeks, and this time around, fans have far more flexibility in how they can watch matches on Twitch. Following the success of a tool that let viewers check out the Overwatch World Cup Finals from any angle, you'll be able to view Overwatch League matches from more perspectives than in the past. You'll need to fork over $15 for the All Access Pass to use in the new Command Center, which offers in-depth control over your viewing experience. Along with the broadcast feed that airs on the regular Twitch stream and TV networks, you can switch between individual pros' perspectives at will, kind of like watching their own Twitch streams but in pro play. There's also a multi-feed option where you can watch 2 streams at once alongside an overhead map. Blizzard and Twitch are offering a free 48-hour trial of the Command Center. Fans have long sought such viewing options. Overwatch League matches can be difficult to follow given the frequently chaotic volume of colorful on-screen activity, and cutting between various players' perspectives does not always help. In fact, I would say it hinders 95% of the time. What's more, since viewers can watch entire matches from their favorite pros and characters' viewpoints, perhaps they'll pick up a few pointers to incorporate into their own games. Along with the Command Center, the Alt Access Pass includes tokens to buy Overwatch League team skins, a merch discount, emotes, chat badges, and ad-free viewing. Those benefits will be available until October the 31st, and Overwatch League's 2019 season goes underway on February the 14th when 8 new teams join those trying to wrestle the crown from defending champions London Spitfire. This is absolutely insane to me that this is something we're finally seeing implemented on a large scale. Now, for those that don't know, I'm not super into esports, but I respect esports. You know, like, I'll watch them from time to time, and I'll tune into a Siege match, I'll tune into some Overwatch here and there, I'll watch some competitive Fortnite because that building is insane. But when it comes to Overwatch, one of the biggest problems that I've had is not being able to keep up with one specific person. You know, somebody might be playing in a tournament, and I want to watch that specific individual. To be able to have that opportunity, even with this $15 barrier for entry, is something that I would be willing to get involved with. And of course, there are a lot of bells and whistles that come with the opportunity to see that specific perspective during this match overall. But even bigger and broader than that, I love this accessibility for the viewer. I love this interaction with people that are fans of this specific esports kind of world, because if this was implemented on a larger scale, if this was something that would come to more than just Overwatch, this would change esports entirely. I mean, imagine if you are watching a football game, like if you're watching Super Bowl 53 this coming Sunday, and you are able to literally see what the field looks like from each individual player's perspective, and to be able to hop around the stadium and watch from wherever you want to watch. That is the kind of accessibility that we're talking about here with Overwatch and implementation of this specific kind of camera angle idea. And that's fantastic. That's something that changes the game, no pun intended, without a doubt. But if you did want to check out the Overwatch League again, kicking off on February the 14th and running all the way through October, if I am reading this article correctly, but hey, that's pretty dang cool. And also, hey, to Spike Tiger in the chat, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. So we have yet another game jumping ship and going over to the Epic Games Store. The old launcher is also being ditched, and the accounts are going to be ported over to Epic Games. That is a big deal. Not as big as something like Metro Exodus jumping ship from Steam and going over to Epic, but still something worth talking about. Now, let's start with the original story here. Dauntless, the multiplayer behemoth basher, think free-to-play Monster Hunter World in a way, will be ditching its launcher soon and converting all player accounts into Epic accounts. Announced at the Game Awards, the free-to-play game will launch on the Epic Games Store and adopt a Fortnite-style structure, but that does mean beta players will need to download the store client before Dauntless's launcher vanishes. Developer Phoenix Labs has posted a frequently asked questions. I was going to say a fuck. And I was like, wait, that sounds bad. That covers the migration. You don't need to do anything at the moment, so you can keep using the old launcher. Eventually, however, that's going to be flung in the bin. And man, what a good little image that is flung in the bin. I'm writing that one down. There's no date yet, but in the weeks approaching the Switch, Phoenix Labs will start to convert accounts, at which point you'll have to use the Epic Games Store. Phoenix Labs recommends making an Epic account now. However, as there's no guarantee you'll be able to keep your username, if an Epic user already has it, you'll need to come up with a new one. The announcement doesn't appear to be going down well over on the Dauntless forums. The move apparently comes down to the crossplay benefits. Phoenix Labs wants Dauntless players, much like Fortnite players, to have access to their account across a wide range of platforms. Quote, when we started building Dauntless over 4 years ago, we had a vision. No matter where you were in the world or which platform you were playing on, you would be able to play with your friends, says Phoenix Labs. Epic Games blazed a trail by delivering the first game with true crossplay on PC, Xbox One, PS4, mobile, and the Nintendo Switch, and we are grateful to partner with them on Dauntless. The migration process will start as soon as possible, and so if you are a fan of Dauntless, you better go ahead and download the Epic Games launcher and start getting your account ready, because it looks like it's starting up pretty dang soon, and that being the switch between the old launcher and the brand new Epic Games launcher. So, of course, if you missed the episode where I talked about Metro Exodus and the move over to Epic Games and kind of ditching Steam in a way, I feel like it's a good move for specific people. Of course, I was a big supporter of the Epic Games kind of working with the guys over there behind the scenes with Metro Exodus because, again, you're getting a bigger cut for the developers and a price cut for those in the States that are willing to use the Epic Games launcher. And, of course, you are kind of allowing Epic Games to build out their repertoire of games they're offering in a way and be a viable competitor with Steam, because it doesn't matter any kind of opinion or perspective. Competition is good. Competition is healthy. And in a space where Steam has been overwhelmingly dominant over the past 10 years plus, it's good to see that there is finally a viable form of competition, even if it is in the form of Epic Games, because that's going to force Steam to make some changes, change their own policies, and try and get these big name games back later on. Now, Dauntless is a bit of a different opportunity here, because Dauntless was never a big, massive game. I remember Dauntless specifically kind of filling a niche before Monster Hunter World launched, where a lot of streamers were playing this game because they wanted to scratch that itch. They wanted that monster hunting, that mon hunting, if you will, before the game actually came out. And so it's a solid game. Nothing against the game whatsoever, but to see it kind of take a spotlight on the Epic Games Store and to see it kind of come into its own on a platform where it does get more recognition is a pretty awesome experience to see, and a pretty awesome experience for the developers to be able to take advantage of. So if you did want to play Dauntless, now it's moving over to the Epic Games launcher, and after diving in, I can confidently say that if you have a group of people to play with, it is a very fun game, and if you love that Monster Hunter World style of grind, then you better go ahead and check this one out. And again, free. It's free to dive in and play it. Of course, skins, whatnot, microtransactions, yada, yada, yada. The game is free. You can always jump in, give it a shot, and if you don't like it, hey, you can right-click, scroll down, and uninstall. It's amazing. But speaking of Fortnite, to round out today's show, if you guys are fans of Marshmello, guess what? There's a Fortnite Marshmello concert happening this weekend. That's right. Expect a new limited-time mode called Party in Pleasant Park to bring the fire on February the 2nd. That's right. With Super Bowl 53 only days away, Epic Games is ensuring that Fortnite players will still be able to partake in some of the festivities. As reported by The Verge, the game's creators have booked EDM artist and producer Marshmello to perform an in-game concert in the game, which will be hosted directly on the football field in Pleasant Park. So essentially, it's an in-game halftime show featuring Marshmello. What is this madness? While his appearance has yet to be confirmed publicly by Epic Games, the popular DJ has already added Pleasant Park as one of his upcoming tour dates on his official website. That's hilarious. Oh my God. Also, if you visit the football field in question, you'll see the preparation work for a music event is already underway. The final piece of the puzzle has been completed by enterprising data miners who scoured this week's update files and found Marshmello-related skins and emotes, as well as the time and date of the concert. According to the leaks, Epic Games will create a new limited-time mode called Party at Pleasant Park and will kick things off on Saturday, February 2nd at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. There will also be a number of Marshmello-related items available inside the actual game. Prominent leaker HypeX has already uncovered a Marshmello skin, a dedicated pickaxe, and a handful of dance emotes, including the energetic glow sticks, which can be seen below. Marshmello is no stranger to Fortnite and has shown himself to be a very capable player. Last year, the DJ teamed up with Twitch superstar Ninja to win the Fortnite Pro-Am at E3, securing a $1 million prize pot in the process. That, my friends, is a pretty big amount of money. But again, this is the HypeX video, if I am understanding this correctly. I don't keep up with Fortnite YouTubers. But cool to see this kind of event going on, because I understand people are tired of hearing about Fortnite. I'm tired of talking about Fortnite, because literally on every single episode of Caffeinate, there is usually some kind of Fortnite-related topic of conversation. This is hilarious to me that I'm actually watching this. But imagine being a kid during this time. Imagine growing up and Fortnite is the new Call of Duty where everybody is playing it, and there's just this ubiquitous discussion, this ubiquitous playthrough in a way of Fortnite. Everybody's into it right now. That is an incredibly awesome experience to have as a kid, something that I wish I could go back and experience for myself yet again. But overall, to be able to see this kind of giant global phenomenon going on and to imagine how happy it makes people, that's what's awesome to me. You know, even if I don't play Fortnite on the regular anymore, even if I don't listen to Marshmello, even if I have no intention of going in and watching tons of people do whatever this is, because I don't know what that is, it's still awesome to imagine people enjoying this and to see people getting in on, literally millions of people getting in on this kind of thing. But if you did want to dive in and check out the brand new limited time mode, then I would go ahead and keep tuned in to the Twitter Fortnite updates, because hey, that's probably where I'm going to be hearing about it first. But 9 times out of 10, if you're into the Fortnite thing, you're probably going to be playing the game whenever the limited time mode drops anyway, so you'll probably be fine. But that wraps up today's episode of Caffeinate. If you did enjoy today's show, be sure to drop me a like down below if you are watching on the YouTube video. And of course, for those hanging out live in the chat, I appreciate you guys dropping in, saying hello. It's always good to be able to entertain you guys 5 nights a week at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/TheSamuelAdams, bringing you the hottest gaming news of the day. But as for right now, I am going to go eat some soup because it is absolutely freezing outside. I am uncomfortably cold. And if you are wondering, yes, I'm wearing shorts. But I'll be back tomorrow for a brand new episode of Caffeinate. And until then, keep it cool. A lot of you don't have an opportunity to have any other kind of warmth because it's freezing. Anyways, peace.